This is TWiT.
Security news going around. Some are calling this the worst security flaw in a decade, which in a decade has been full of nasty security flaws. That seems like a bad thing. It's a 0-day in a Java logging library, log4j, that allows about the worst possible scenario, remote code execution by logging a carefully formed string. Now, this log4j is very widely used. Cloud services like Steam, iCloud, the Minecraft servers all use it. Anybody using Apache struts is likely to be vulnerable. One of the things this brings up, and it's kind of an interesting side note, is how much big business relies on open source applications maintained by volunteers, which this is. They are working night and day, these volunteers, unpaid volunteers, to fix this. It affects any version of Apache Log4j from 2.0 to 2.141. 2.15 has been released, is a permanent fix. You can get it, and if you are running, I would hope if you're running Apache struts, you are not only aware of this, but you fixed it. And as far as I know, I don't know of any serious impact from this. It was caught and fixed very quickly, but a lot of infrastructure relies on a small number of unpaid volunteers in this world. And is this something we should fix? Carolina, what do you think?
Well, it's quite shocking. I didn't know that. But given that somebody else had an outage this week and it took a little bit longer to fix, maybe, Amazon should rely on unpaid volunteers too. I don't know.
Yeah, AWS also down. And much longer than the vulnerability in 4JS. This is the famous XKCD dependency cartoon, which shows all modern digital infrastructure relying. It's a block building relying on a tiny little block. A project some random person in Nebraska has been thanklessly maintaining since 2003. Unfortunately, we know now this is really more true than not. Yeah. What about that Amazon outage? How long was AWS out?
I think it was a couple of days, wasn't it?
So it seemed like it was a lot longer than it should be, and everybody relies on AWS,
including Amazon. So a lot of their own
yes.
services were struggling.
The outage was explained on Friday. Hours-long outage earlier this week that disrupted its retail business and third-party online services. One of the complaints people had is that the status page is useless. So they're going to fix that. So at least if they're down, you'll know they're down. The problems began in US East 1, 10:30 a.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Amazon said an automated activity to scale capacity of one of AWS's services hosted in the main AWS network triggered an unexpected behavior from a large number of clients inside the internal network. This reminds me of the Facebook flaw a few months ago. Several AWS tools suffered. EC2, which provides virtual server capacity. Amazon engineers worked to resolve issues, bring back services over the next several hours. It didn't bounce back fully. Let's see, it went down at 10:30 a.m., didn't bounce back fully to 9:40 p.m., so a 12-hour and 10-minute outage.
Do you get like a gift certificate from them, or like you have to pay less money that month when this happens?
I get an Amazon gift card for $13.23.
I mean, it's something.
Alexa didn't even apologize, honestly.
When these things happen, you really learn who is relying on AWS, which is basically everybody. I don't know if it affected us. We go through AWS. Disney Plus was down. Netflix was down. Ticketmaster. Roomba vacuum cleaners were offline. Amazon's Ring security cameras were offline. There were smart cat litter boxes, app-connected ceiling fans.
The world fell apart.
The world died.
That's like what's worrisome. What if there were drones and everything, and if they went offline,
Just
would
fell out
drones
of the
just like
sky.
bang into each other and fall?
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
Amazon's own retail operations, as Carolina was saying, were brought to a standstill in some parts of the U.S. Internal apps used by Amazon's warehouse and delivery force rely on AWS. So most of Tuesday, employees were unable to scan packages. It's a bad time of year to not be able to access delivery routes and scan packages. Third-party sellers couldn't manage customer orders. And yes, the status page was one of the things impacted. Oh, well, maybe we shouldn't attach the status page to AWS, because if AWS is down, you don't know. So what they did is they put a global banner on the service health dashboard, which Amazon says we have since learned makes it difficult for some customers to find information. Customers couldn't create support cases for 7 hours because, the support tool also runs on AWS. There's that little block again in that giant tower of blocks, this time not maintained by some kid in Nebraska, but still kind of a little bit of a, choke point, a weak link in the whole thing. There's nothing much to report. I mean, that's Amazon's explanation. It's fascinating to see how much. This is the Wall Street Journal headline. Amazon outage disrupts lives, surprising people about their cloud dependency. When your light switches stop working because AWS is down, oops. The best one is, and this is the lead for the Wall Street Journal. Kyle Lerner and his girlfriend sensed something was amiss when they came home Tuesday and found their 2 Persian Himalayan cats meowing nonstop. They were using an internet-connected feeding machine to dispense kibble, but it had been out since the morning. Oh, this is the best quote. We had to manually give them food like in ancient times.
that is amazing.
Are we?
And of course, they're from California.
Yeah.
They're from Marina Del Rey.
Marina Del Rey. It was like ancient times. Steve Peters of Los Angeles, also one of your neighbors, couldn't tell his Roomba vacuum to clean up the blueberry muffin crumbs during breakfast. Oh, my God.
This is like an Onion.
This is the Wall Street Journal. He relies on an app on his phone to beckon the machine. I had to resort to getting a broom and dustpan. It was crazy, said Mr. Peters. I'm reading from the Wall Street Journal. In St. Louis, losing access to Amazon's Alexa service made Mark Edelstein feel lonely and helpless.
This is weird. People from generations to come will look back at this, either be like, what was wrong? Or like, I get it. This is like the beginning of the end, I swear.
Here's a picture of Steve, the man with the crumbs, unable to activate his Roomba. Does he look?
I think he has something a bit more wrong in his life than a Roomba that needs some help.
This is worse than, what is worse than first world problems? Marina Del Rey problems? It is like
Roomba problems.
It's like.
In fairness, though, it does make you think about the reliance on cloud overall. And if you're thinking about driverless cars and smart cities,
or drones falling out of the sky,
the danger that we might have going forward, right? Even if you think about, we were out of power, somebody unfortunately lost control and took out one of the posts outside our house. So we were out of power for 4 hours. So nothing in the house was working. No lights, but because everything is smart, but also because there was no Wi-Fi. So yes, like the ancient times, I was just using my phone.
Like an animal.
We should have drills. Shouldn't we have drills around this? Like, okay, for a few hours, everyone, everything's going to shut down. Just prepare yourself.
See what it's like.
That when it happens, we're like, okay, we got this. We have a plan.
I'm surprised you didn't hear my teenagers scream because that obviously impacted their gaming in the afternoon.
Yeah. The Wall Street Journal, I think, is taking a little too much glee in this because, of course, as a mainstream media company, they're probably not thrilled with the internet in general anyway. The outage forced Samantha Sherhog to open blinds in her home in the Tampa Bay area of Florida. She couldn't instruct Alexa to turn on the lights. She otherwise has to move furniture to reach the main light switch in her living room.
I can't. Stop.
So like an animal, she had to open the blinds.
Life is
There
difficult.
is, in fairness, though, there is an accessibility part of this, right? There
Sure.
are
That's
people
true.
that
That's
actually
true. Yeah.
use
Caroline, thank you
voice
so much.
from an accessibility perspective, and that can be distressing.
Yes, especially if you're a Persian Himalayan cat who cannot find food in your cat feeder. I love, the journal. I mean, really, way too much glee in this, posting these pictures. They just really enjoying this.
I disagree. I think
That's why we feed
they,
our
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's
Go ahead,
why you
Alex.
feed your animals with food?
No, by hand, because
By
we have
hand.
two mastiffs. I wouldn't rely on something that might miss work, and then I'll be dinner.
Here's a this is typical of our crowd and their response. When the Amazon-powered lights in his home wouldn't work, he checked the website Down Detector. Of course, the lights won't work. First thing you do, go online and see if something's down. It was a sigh of relief, he said, but the experience also made him realize how much he relies on AWS. What were you saying, Alex? Is this something to worry about, or is this just,
Well, first of all, I'll say that it's somewhat miraculous that it wasn't worse. So this was
Right.
actually better failure than that's 2018 AWS failure.
Yeah.
It was not as bad. And this was a hit to US East 1, which is part of the oldest region of AWS. So if you think about like the way that these things are built on top of each other, you would imagine that if a lot of your foundation is in this, East 1, right, the first region that AWS built in, and it goes down, you'd be in trouble. And like actually, maybe it's a testament to AWS that most of this stuff actually stayed up and it was only down for a few hours. Like it could have been much more disastrous. Now, speaking about this Wall Street Journal story, I think it's a lovely story. I'm going to disagree with you on.
It's pretty funny.
I think it's great. I think they really illustrate how much, how do you tell a story like a server farm, going
Right.
down in a way that
Right.
it's human and accessible. And I happen to think, getting people on record talking about how like they had to feed their pets like it's ancient times. I mean, that's kind of give them the Pulitzer. That's a beautiful
Okay.
story.
But let's be honest. You know what happened. The reporter just went to Instagram, searched for people having problems, and took their pictures. I mean, it wasn't exactly, you didn't have to hit the street, in your fedora and with your New Predators notebook and interview people to find this. I think they probably
Instagram is the street today.
It is the street. It's
So-
the new street. Yeah.
They put the shoe leather down on what was remaining up on the internet and made a go of it.